I have to be honest with you here and say that my expectations for Stern's next release were really low. Up until the point where I found out that Jack Danger was designing the game. You can go and check at that very point where I discovered that out, because it was when I was doing the video last week with Enzo. We were discussing Avatar and a lot of other things at the time. But he let it be known that Stern's next release was probably going to be X-Men, and it was highly likely to be designed by Jack Danger. We had a little conversation about the Jurassic Park Home Edition, which, as you know, if you're a regular watcher of the channel, I've been lucky enough to have it here. I rated it really highly, and I certainly thought that Foo Fighters was the best shooting game I'd seen and played, and owned, actually, in quite a while. However, I must also say that my expectations for Stern themselves were low. I think for quite a long time we've seen the standards going up and up and up at various rival pinball companies, and I think it's fair to say, particularly on the pro versions of the Stern games, it felt like there was a certain amount of cost stripping going on with a lot of their games, and it felt like it when you played them. I was lucky enough to have both Venom here to test out, thanks to the channel sponsor, Pinball Heaven, who are just, as you can see just there. And I also had John Wick here as well. To say I was unimpressed with both would be something of an understatement. There were different reasons for both, and I do understand that the premium versions of both games are more packed than the pro versions than I had here. But I wasn't impressed. I mean, I had the pro version of Foo Fighters, right, and that was absolutely brilliant. Not at any point did I feel that I was missing out, and I was even lucky enough in this very room to do a side-by-side comparison of the premium Foo Fighters and the pro Foo Fighters. Great games. Really, really enjoyed them, but the pro was great. I certainly felt, though, when I was playing John Wick and when I was playing Venom, that I was playing a budget machine. I think it would be fair to say that. And I wasn't really entirely sure where they were going. Now, what I will say is, I love Jaws. I mean, I love Jaws so much, I ordered one, and I'm hoping to get hold of it soon. But it was sort of the one game that I thought was really, really good since Foo Fighters. But Stern needed to up their game. They really did. Whilst they would do and produce a budget pro version of a game, there were just still other manufacturers who'd sort of raised the bar. Look, Chicago Gaming Company make a wonderful game. It takes a long time to get it out. The vast majority of us are still waiting on our Pulp Fictions. Far too many people waited over 2 years for their Cactus Canyon. They make a great game, but they just can't get it out in a timely fashion. In fact, I'm not entirely sure anybody can produce games with the regularity that Stern do. That being said, the bar's been set really high. Look at some of the games that Spooky are producing. Absolutely amazing. Great themes, packed full, 4 flipper games, shots, ramps, wireforms, everywhere. More stuff than I ever thought could be packed in to a standard width pinball machine. Then you got Jersey Jack are back, no doubt about it at all. Despite a lot of resistance when they announced that Elton John was going to be their next release, people played it and people bought it and people enjoyed it. It was amazing. It was fantastic. It was the right machine at the right time, and in Steve Ritchie, the right designer at the right time. If any pinball company needed somebody to come in with that fan layout, with that 3 flipper game that Steve Ritchie incorporated, bit on Star Trek, either one Star Trek Next Generation, be it Spider-Man, whatever else, it worked. I very much felt in terms of the shots, Jersey Jack needed to go back to basics, get those flippers working, and then produce a brilliant, wonderful machine, which they did. Great shots, great light show, great sound, a beautiful, a feast. A feast, it's basically like a piece of art that you can have a lot of fun with and play. That's Elton John. It was exactly the right thing at the right time. I feel for Stern, they needed something different. And do you know what? I think they've done it, and I think they've cracked it now. Because I'll tell you something, I had no interest in X-Men at all. What I'm about to say is I'm not particularly interested in Marvel. I understand the irony of somebody saying that whilst wearing a Deadpool t-shirt. But look, you can like Deadpool and not be into Marvel, right? I'm sure you'd understand that. The fact it was going to be X-Men was, I think, relatively underwhelming for me, but I've always maintained Theme is not massively important unless it's a forever pin. A forever pinball machine, theme is incredibly important. But a pinball machine you might keep for a year or two, I don't think it's that vital. And look, I'm very, very happy to rotate my pinball collection. In fact, it has to happen. We have a finite amount of money, we have a finite amount of space, so we have to rotate things around. But I've been having my eyes on what my next purchase might be. What pinball machine am I going to get further down the line? What am I going to trade in to get that pinball machine? Well, I have to be honest, when I saw the suggested release of Avatar, I thought there's a little bit of a sigh of relief there for me, because I don't think I'm quite ready, and I don't think my budget was quite ready for a Jersey Jack, because they are expensive pieces of kit, right? And I think had it have been Harry Potter, I may have had to pull the trigger on it. We also have other things in the pipeline. I've been looking at Alice, which has been made by Dutch Pinball. Been thinking that might be an option. And of course, you know, we have the rumoured release of Back to the Future, which could come at any time. So as somebody that's looking at pinball games and what I might look to get, what might be my next purchase over the next year or two, those games were looking to be contenders. But Avatar, I thought, okay, Avatar's great. It means I can probably put it off, and you know, maybe we can look at Harry Potter or Matrix or whatever it might be in a year or two. Not that bothered about the thing. The last thing I was expecting, the very last thing, was to witness and to view a release from Stern Pinball. I saw the teaser the other day. I wasn't impressed. But I've seen the video today, the Uncanny X-Men by Stern Pinball. And I have to say, immediately, I thought, I want one, I've got to have one. Because whilst Jersey Jack needed that steady Eddie influence, I think, of Steve Ritchie, was the perfect appointment at the right time, I certainly felt Stern needed to do something different, and they needed to up their game, and they've done that. Because they appear to have produced a pinball machine which is stunning visually, and I say that as somebody that has no reason to like an X-Men game. I've never read the comics, and I've never been a comic reader, particularly not X-Men. It looks stunning. The artwork's stunning. It's by Zombie Yeti. More importantly, they've been innovative. They have produced a pinball machine layout which looks completely different to anything else I can think of. No doubt you can trawl back through the archives and find little bits and pieces of games that have gone in the past and say, oh, this section's from that. The little small flipper on the left-hand side, that's from that game. One pop bumper, that's from that. You will find influences in it. But in terms of a mirrored layout, I can't think of anything like this. This is the right layout from the right designer at the right time for the right company. And you know, because it's a Stern, it's going to shoot well. It's going to feel really, really good when you start hitting those flippers. I've got to say, I was bowled over by this game. And as I record this now, I've only seen the trailer 45 minutes ago. I've watched it once. I'm actually pressing play now, and I'm looking, it's playing behind the camera now. So hopefully I'll be able to incorporate a little bit of footage here. There's so many ball paths. It's just incredible. There's ball paths. There's wireforms. There's collapsible ramps. There's this Sentinel thing in the middle of the playfield, which is popping up now. Will remind you of the ringmaster, if you pardon the expression. Disgusting. The ringmaster, of course, in Circus Voltaire. It's got a bit of that going on. There is so much to take in. It's a bit of a feast for the eyeballs, certainly. Captive balls which are raised above the playfield. I guess the Sentinel's hand comes down and collapses the wireform when your ball is running around on it. The shot, it seems to... What did I play recently? Was it Grand Prix? I think it might have been Grand Prix or something like that. I played IndyCar. I can't even remember. I played a game recently, and the ball came round behind the flippers, maybe in a way that, I don't know, similar to Flintstones. I've got Flintstones in my mind for some reason. there seems to be a ball path on this that takes the ball behind the flippers and pops it onto. It's not a literal playfield. It is the actual playfield. It's not a raised playfield, but it's on the left-hand side. So a little flipper, like the little flipper that you'd have in Roadshow, but further down, if you like. Maybe further down than you might see in Adam's Family. Couple of really nice shots on it. Nice little loop, nice little ramp. Goes into a wire form. It just seems to be complete and utter innovation. I'm just looking at it now. Actually, I've seen a second pop bumper. I think if I've got this right, and I am just looking at the screen, so I'm recording this now, this is just pure excitement. From me, I think the two pop bumpers are separated. One's on the bottom left of the playfield, and one of them looks to be sort of the middle upper part of the playfield. The game I'm looking at the moment is at the moment I'm watching George Gomez talking, but at the moment I'm looking at the LE version of it, and wow, you know, the powder coating looks absolutely brilliant on it. It's got the X-Men sign, as has obviously been laser cut on the armour. It's got the speaker lights. Look, that sort of stuff, I've got to say, doesn't bother me too much, it has to be said, because I'm more than happy to get a premium and pimp it up. But when it's been all put together, this LE looks absolutely stunning. And let's speak frankly here, Stern have been struggling to sell LEs. If you go to your distributor, I wouldn't be surprised that out of the last 5 titles maybe, there'll be at least 2 that still have LEs. You'll be able to get LEs. I think you could certainly be able to get an LE in Venom. I think they'd be available. Certainly that would be the case in the UK, and quite possibly John Wick as well. I might have that wrong, but I think we would all agree that the limited editions for Sterns have not been flying off the shelves. This will go. This game will sell very, very well. And I can't say, I have no... I try and be completely impartial with this stuff, and I try to be. Look, Pinball Heaven are the channel sponsors, but Pinball Heaven stock Sterns. They stock Jersey Jack. They stock Spooky, CGC. So I think, and Dutch Pinball as well. I can be as open-minded as I wish to be within the parameters of that. And they just weren't a contender. Stern's next release was not a contender. I was looking at Jersey Jack. I was looking to see what Spooky did next. I was definitely looking at Dutch. You know, maybe a couple of their games. I just wasn't looking at Stern. I thought, you know what, I'll get Jaws. That's Stern's best game in the last period. The theme, I love the theme. The theme screams out to me, Jaws, for want of a better word. It really, really does. There was no reason for this game, X-Men, to appeal to me. Yeah, I looked at it and I thought, this is amazing. This is fantastic. It just looks like the finished game. We have a saying on this channel. I've been saying it for some time now. Did a company build the best pinball machine that they could? And I look at this now and it's a yes. This machine, it's incredible. I'm looking at the promo now for the LE. Jack Danger is talking about it. The promo for the LE and for the limited edition. It's got the Sentinel that rises out the playfield. I think the first thing I'm noticing about this, and the details may be sketchy, so please be aware that as I record this video, it's brand new. I've not studied it. I just thought it'd be better to get this video out and sort of hopefully capture my excitement of this game. There's lots of nooks and crannies, little side avenues and little places where you can hit the ball, little secret shots, which is great. But the Sentinel, as far as I can see, doesn't sit flat in the playfield like the Ringmaster in Circus Voltaire. So for that reason, I always think you're going to be circumnavigating it. So the shot will go around it, even if it's flat and even if the Sentinel's down. Now the Sentinel pops up and then you hit his jaw and his mouth opens, and that provides another target in there. I think the difference, from what I can see at the moment, between the LE, the Premium, and the Pro, is that the Sentinel doesn't lift up. But bearing in mind, he never goes fully flat. I don't think that's a problem on the Pro. And if I think, as I'm looking at it here, you can factor in and you can accept that the hands are not going to collapse the wire forms. If you can accept that as a mechanism, it's neat. It looks really cool, by the way. Then the Pro is looking pretty good here. And it's funny. One of the fingers pops up from the Sentinel's hand and stops it's that finger. It's that finger. Just saying. I think if you can probably accept that not having the upper captive ball is okay, then there's a lot to like on the Pro game. It has to be said. There's a lot going on here. There's a nice model of Wolverine in the back, but come on. I mean, you can get models of Wolverine anywhere. If you wouldn't even need to find a mod maker to do this. Go onto eBay, go onto Amazon. You're going to find a model of Wolverine. I'm even just looking. Okay, no, I don't have it, but did you see this guy here? That is that's Juggernaut. I've got Juggernaut there. Dazzler. You can get these figures. Okay, I don't have them there. I think these are from Eagle Moss. I don't know if I've got look, there's Robin from Batman and Robin. I mean, you can get these figures. So certainly for me, Wolverine and the comic version of Wolverine being in the back of the playfield would not be a deal breaker. The more I look at it, the more I think, well, actually, the Pro is looking like quite good value. I don't know the price point yet. I'm not going to pretend I do. When was the last time you could say that from Stern? When was the last time? It actually looks like as well they've got proper animations. And when I say proper animations, it does look like, I mean, there's a scene on the screen that the cars are actually moving. The difference between a proper animation and something that was, for instance, Avengers Infinity Quest. Avengers Infinity Quest would have a static background and then it would have a static image. So maybe you'd have whoever it might be. There were so many characters. Maybe you'd have Captain America there. And all that would happen is it wasn't animation. You'd have the background moving one way and Captain America moving the other to create the illusion that it was animated. It wasn't. This appears to have a little bit more work that has been put into it. There appear to be proper animations. I'm looking at this game, and aside from being really impressed by the ingenuity of the shots and that wonderful little playfield to the side, I'm looking at it and wondering if Stern thought, we need to up our game here because of the competition. That's why competition's a great thing. And I think they have. I really think they've upped their game. As you would expect with Jack Danger, and of course Elwyn, you know, I guess Elwyn probably started a lot of this stuff, that the ball paths are crazy. Dare I say it? I know this might be heresy and sacrilege because I am aware that Elwyn is most people's favourite designer. And what can I say? I've got a Jaws on the way in. I don't agree that Jaws is his worst game. I don't agree with that at all. I think it's going to be a slow burner, and I think it might be a bit of a masterpiece. But dare I say, in terms of innovative ball paths, Jack Danger may be doing it even better because I thought Foo Fighters was sensational. There's something to be said for young, innovative designers coming up with new playfield layouts. And it's not about me saying we've seen the same tired old layout time and time again. As I mentioned, it was right. It was right for Jersey Jack to do that on Elton John. But they're not, two companies are not in the same place at the moment. In many respects, both companies had different repair jobs to do for different reasons. I think for Jersey Jack, they had the playfield issues, didn't they, with Guns N' Roses. Then, I mean, Toy Story, it was bad. They got that badly wrong. Toy Story 4, bad mistake. Not putting the claw in and sort of lack of mechanisms, bad mistake. Didn't sell many. So they needed to. There was all that funny feel with the flippers. They needed to do some different things, and they did it. Stern are in a different position. Stern. You can never accuse Jersey Jack Pinball being lazy. I think Stern have got the reputation of being a little bit lazy, and I think so. Both companies had to answer different questions, and I think they have. And I think Stern have done it now. There is no way you can say what you like about this game, this X-Men, the Uncanny X-Men. Sorry, I should probably start calling it that. You might not like it. You might not think it's for you. But you couldn't ever call this lazy. It's quite clear that a lot of thought has gone into this game. And I think I'm not always a fan of expert players, because obviously Jack Danger is a very, very good pinball player, right? I'm not always a fan of them making them, because I think sometimes they can just make a game that's too tough. Look, John Wick would be a case in point for a game that's too tough. It's too tough for me. I can't, even if I liked it, even if I liked the theme, I couldn't get that game. I'm just not accurate enough. It's one of the reasons I like Jaws, actually. I thought Jaws seems to be a little bit more forgiving. I seem to be able to hit the shots with a lot more regularity than some of Elwyn's other games. Although I do think Godzilla is a masterpiece, because it's, well, there it is. There it is, very high up in the Gonzo's Pinball Flipperama Top 50 Pinball Machines. But I've never felt that with Danger's game. And I've not played this. As I say, I've owned Foo Fighters and I've owned a Jurassic Park Home Edition. So I think I think hopefully I carry enough experience of his games, having owned both of them, having had them both here, to pass comment on his games thus far. That they shoot well. They shoot well. I like him. I really like him. I'm very, very, very excited by what he's doing. I've just noticed as well, I completely forgot, there's under the Sentinel, there's a Magneto. Of course it is. Why would you do anything different? One final thing that I want to say on this, the old X-Men game, the Stern one, I think it was John Borg. I know it wasn't everybody's favourite game, but it was well built and it was packed. There was a lot going on in the game. I don't think that Stern would have got away with making that game and not packing it out. When I was at Pinfest, unfortunately, I was only able to attend for a couple of hours on the final day. But when I was at Pinfest, I think it might have been Thomas who purchased 24. Apologies if I got that wrong. I remember looking at and talking about 24. If you've ever played 24, it looks dated, it looks old. It's Keith Sutherland, Jack Bauer. It looks like an old, dated pinball machine that's not stood the test of time well. However, you start to scratch below the surface on that game, you realise how many mechanisms are in there. You realise quite how much Stern put into it. So whilst it might look dated and whilst you might not like the theme and it's not stood the test of time well, once you start lifting up that playfield, once you start hitting those shots, you realise there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on there, a lot of mechanisms. And this looks to be like that, because certainly the previous X-Men was like it. I think this is a triumph. It's very, very hard to call. By the time I put this video out, it's going to be, just a couple of hours after the release, that's Stern's official release. But I suspect I'll sell a lot of these. I really do. And I think Jack Danger's just going to carry on forging this wonderful reputation that he clearly has already. So well done to Stern. Well done to Stern. It's not every time that you see a release of a pinball machine and you get excited. Actually, to be fair, it's most of the time. If you're excitable by nature, you're going to get excited by this stuff. And I think you should. I think you should. There's too much misery in pinball. Too many people are critical and downbeat. I said it the other day. People criticising Stern for selling something in Costco. You shouldn't get annoyed that what shop a company's designed to sell something in. It's just good that there are so many pinball machines now. And so much choice. And if you don't like X-Men, that's cool, because you've got a lot of other stuff to choose from. You don't have to like any of them, but you will find a pinball machine that's for you. And as somebody that within the last week has managed to get hold of an Attack from Mars, I'll be doing a video on that soon, and a Whitewater. Actually, Whitewater's not a basic layout. You couldn't say that. But Attack from Mars is very much a basic layout. And it sits on the top of that list up there, Attack from Mars. It's going to take some shifting. I think it's a masterpiece. So I've got nothing against those old layouts, the fan layouts. Sometimes it works, and it just works. But isn't it refreshing to see something as different as this. And I may well own one, I may not. But one thing I do know is I cannot wait to shoot this game. And because the Pro looks so good, I think this will work on location. If it works on location, it's going to encourage people to buy them. If they can work it in with their Insider Connected as well, I guess they'd never gone away, Stern. They'd never gone away. But it's too good a line to not end the video on. So what I'd like to say is, having seen this, having seen this amazing trailer, this amazing reveal, can we say, Stern are back?